Morning, teachers, gentlemen. I'm sure you have noticed that Hong Kong's version of March Madness is upon us, with key competitions and functions all going on throughout the whole month. Just last week, we witnessed different groups and teams preparing for major functions and competitions. We saw our teachers, captains, and coaches working hard to perfect our sports team's performance, and we saw our boys responding diligently. We saw our choir and orchestra members trying to perfect every note and every phrase in the music. We saw our robotics team preparing for competitions and our boys getting ready for TEDx. I also saw prefects preparing and spending endless hours getting things ready, leading cheers and rallying the boys. This is the time when the DBS spirit truly shines through. This coming week will be even more hectic than last week, with sports and music competition overlapping one another. While we're talking about training and competitions, there is one author that comes to my mind. In my memory, he's the only person who has written books about sports and musical performances. His name is Timothy Galway. He wrote a book called The Inner Game of Tennis, and then later on, he wrote a book called The Inner Game of Music. The author mentioned in his books that there are two games going on when one is training or competing. The outer game, all the aspects you see on the surface, and the inner game, the game that goes on inside your mind. According to the author, the peak performance in sports or music or any activity only comes when our mind is so focused that it is still and at one with our body, what our body is doing. It's so focused that it is still and at one with what our body is doing. The key to the inner game and better performance in your field is achieving a state of relaxed concentration so that we're playing out of your mind, so that our minds are not in the way, and therefore not worrying about the technical side of your craft. The book mentioned two things that could help us improve in whatever we do. One, to eliminate the self-talk. Two, to replace the negativity with positive imagery. When we are practicing or studying or competing, we should be aware that aside from the voices of the coaches, the conductors, our leaders from the outside, there is also an inner game that's going on. And one of the most important things we have to pay attention to is how we talk to ourselves during the course. And most of the time, this is done subconsciously. I remember attending a sports competition a few months ago, and I was standing next to a boy. When we were doing well, he'd mutter, "Grand Slam, great, this time we're gonna win." But when we lose a point, or do things slightly not as ideally as we expected, he would immediately say, "Oh no, we're going to lose it all." It's dictated by the circumstances. When we're studying, or when we're training, or when we're competing, we should be aware of what kind of voices you're hearing, or what kind of voices you're telling yourself, what kind of things that you're telling yourselves. When you catch yourself doing negative self-talk, try to deal with it as if you are your own coach, to encourage yourself, and also try to replace this negativity with a positive image of how you would like to see things turn out. Do not let the nervousness or anxiety drag you further down. But most importantly, remember that your worth doesn't come from winning or losing. Results are valuable landmarks that help you improve, but they do not define who you are. Likewise, when you hit a tough spot in life and challenges begin to pile on, do not let the negativity overwhelm you, because your worth doesn't come from this earth. It comes from above, from the good Lord who formed you and has known you since the beginning of time. So remember, from time to time, try to do these three things. One, identify the negative self-talk inside your head. Two, replace it with something positive, perhaps a positive imagery. And three, remind yourselves that your worth is not defined by results. Your worth is defined by God. I'd like to leave you with a Bible verse from 1 John 4:4 this morning. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the world. May I wish you every success this week, and may God be with you as you fight hard in your competitions. Thank you.